So Caitlin Clark is a hell of a player. But to say Caitlin Clark was not a flawed player is just wrong in my opinion.
Caitlin Clark is an incredible player, but to say she didn't have flaws would be completely inaccurate. Caitlin Clark just sent shockwaves through the WNBA, and it's not just because of her signature step-back three. She's been secretly transforming her body, and now she looks stronger and more prepared than ever to take on defenders. You're probably wondering,
every time you're seeing Caitlin Clark out, it's like, okay, she's not as skinny as she was. And this is someone who, that's something that she really needs to, that's something she really needs to do.
How did this happen, and what does it mean for the league? Well, buckle up, because we're about to break down how Clark went from getting pushed around to becoming an unstoppable force on the court, and why every WNBA defender should be on high alert. Every time you see Caitlin Clark now, she looks different, more built, more powerful.
So Caitlin Clark in college was not the strongest player in the world. She was somebody that wasn't weak by any means, but we saw when it came to the WNBA that she was she wasn't able to really assert herself physically.
And this is exactly what she needed to do. Remember how Clark looked last season? There were moments when defenders were just physically overpowering her like she wasn't even there. It was tough to watch, right? Now, let's take a trip back to those rookie struggles. Clark was trying to score.
Her first game matchup was a tough one because her first matchup was against Dijonais. Second matchup was against Benai Delaney Hamilton. Third matchup against Benai Delaney again. Fourth matchup against Dijonais again. So we're looking at the team that has their first 4 games against the freaking Sun and some of the toughest defenders. And from that point on, it did seem like she was basically that she wasn't physically up to being a top guard.
But defenders were muscling her out of position with ease. Some people even started questioning if she could handle the physicality of the WNBA. But hold up, Clark wasn't about to let that happen.
She has gotten significantly bigger. Stephanie White has confirmed it. Stephanie White has gone out here and confirmed that Caitlin Clark has been bulking up. That she's bulked up as a player and that she's no longer skinny and...
In college, she was never considered the strongest player. She wasn't weak by any means, but when she stepped onto the WNBA court, it was clear she needed to bulk up. Her first season was a baptism by fire. She wasn't just playing against decent defenders.
Is one, is Caitlin Clark stronger, or do you expect her to get stronger? And two, what's realistic, in terms of from a great first year to now second year in the league where, it's not as new anymore, right? And you sort of know how the league plays, if nothing else.
Yes, she is stronger, first and foremost. And again, she's got a lot of self-awareness. And, she figured that out, right away. I need to get stronger. I can't get knocked around as much.
She was up against some of the toughest in the game. Her first 4 games? Brutal. The schedule makers threw her straight into the deep end, facing elite defenders who could make even seasoned pros struggle.
Not that she was too weak to be in the W, but she was too weak to be an imposing presence in the W like she was in college, because she could be physically dominated. And then obviously we have seen throughout the offseason, we have seen some of the transformation.
And there was Clark, fresh out of college, trying to hold her own. But here's where things get really interesting. Clark hit the gym hard this offseason, and the results are staggering. You're probably wondering, how much stronger did she actually get?
Done a great job of getting in the weight room and really focusing on her areas that she needs to focus on in terms of strength, in terms of, low center of gravity, time under tension, all of those things. I think the next step is efficiency, right? Not so many turnovers.
Well, get ready, because what we're about to reveal is game-changing. Clark has bulked up significantly. Stephanie White has confirmed it. Clark has transformed physically, and she's no longer the same lean player she once was.
I genuinely think that Caitlin Clark had quite a lot of flaws, but so is still, even with flaws, she was that good that if she can figure out those flaws, she's going to be the best player ever. And that's the reality of the situation. And one of them was that she was very skinny.
Her workouts weren't just about getting toned. She was lifting heavy, building serious muscle, and adding a whole new level of strength to her game. Her arms, looking like tree trunks now.
When it comes to Caitlin Clark, it's one of those things where, as good as she is, there are weaknesses, and it's clear to Stephanie White, who basically game one had the blueprint for how to beat Caitlin Clark.
And it's not just about aesthetics. Her added strength is going to have a massive impact on how she plays. Think about what this means on the court. Clark isn't going to be bullied anymore.
Still, Stephanie White knows what she's talking about, and confirming Caitlin Clark is stronger is going to help a lot, because we saw after Olympic break when Caitlin Clark got stronger that she was posting up guards. Like, she doesn't have very many post moves, but that double bang with her left shoulder into the turnaround layup floater thingies off the backboard, it worked really well. And like, we saw her taking some bigger guards in the post.
The defenders who thought they could push her around, they're in for a rude awakening. Now, when Clark drives to the hoop, she won't be the one getting shoved. She'll be the one creating contact. It's a complete transformation.
If she's able to play a little bit in the post and able to shoot over people, that it becomes really difficult to put, for example, to put somebody like a Jordan Canada on her.
Before, Clark was too light to impose her presence in the WNBA, the way she did in college. But now those days are gone. She's done a fantastic job of getting in the weight room and focusing on key areas: lower body strength, core stability, and durability.
Yeah, so she's going to have that in her arsenal, and it's going to make her harder to defend. It's going to make her way, way harder to defend, because if you can't bully her, it means that the Dijonais hand check through three-quarter court isn't going to be allowed.
She's working on things like low center of gravity and time under tension, all crucial for handling physical defenders. And the most exciting part? Clark won't just be a three-point threat anymore.
She was a lot skinnier when she was working out with when she was in Iowa. And like, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, where I'm like, there is nobody that's like, there's no one that wants to get better in the W. I'm not to say no one is maybe gassing it, but there may not be anyone that wants to get better more than Caitlin Clark. And I mean that. There may not be a single person that wants to get better more than her.
With her added strength, she can now use post-up moves effectively. Imagine her backing down defenders, using her muscle to create space, and then either scoring or finding an open teammate. This is a whole new dimension to her game. Here's the thing.
If you want to see how much she's bulked up, she has really, really bulked up this last year. And if you've seen a lot of guards, especially with the way they come in the WNBA, it does take them a while to physically get used to it.
Caitlin Clark was already elite, even with a few weaknesses. If she figures out those flaws, she has the potential to be the greatest player ever. And one of her biggest areas for improvement? Her physicality. Now she's fixing that.
I think that, with Caitlin Clark, that's a really, really important thing. You can do it gradually. And I don't think she bulked up like a crazy amount. Like, she's not going to be physically destroying people. I just don't think she's going to quite get bullied as much as she did.
This transformation isn't just about the upcoming season. It's about longevity. Clark is setting herself up to dominate the WNBA for years to come.
Like, there was a couple of times you could see her arms, you're like, okay, she's gotten a lot bigger. And I do like the fact that she, by the end of the season, she was taking people in the post a little bit more. And that's the one thing I like with Caitlin Clark, is that not that she's got good post footwork, but she's got a good ability to kind of like bump with her left shoulder and then shoot over her right. That kind of layup hook shot.
This kind of dedication is what turns great players into legends. So, you're probably wondering, can Clark actually put this new strength to use?
And I do think on the defensive end, it allows her to guard small forwards. And that's extremely important because Caitlin Clark is bad going around screens. Like, she is. And I do think when it comes to that, I think it gets better with Stephanie White.
Well, get ready, because she hasn't just bulked up, she's completely redefined her game. We already knew Clark had one of the deadliest outside shots in the league, but now she's adding power moves to her arsenal. That means smaller guards who used to give her trouble, they won't stand a chance.
So Caitlin Clark is somebody that is going to probably, she's going to, I would say, be, in my opinion, the second favorite for MVP. I think she is going to be the second favorite for MVP in the WNBA. That is how confident I am in Caitlin Clark's year 2.
If she can post up effectively, defenders won't know how to guard her. Clark is now strong enough to hold her ground, take contact, and still finish. Before, defenders could knock her off her drive. Now, she's the one dictating the contact.
Caitlin Clark was unbelievably skinny. And that was a problem. Even to start her WNBA career, Caitlin Clark was incredibly skinny. And she was getting bullied. She was genuinely out there, especially in her first couple of weeks in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark was getting bullied. And she genuinely, she was getting bigger and bigger as the season came on, as far as her muscle size was concerned.
She's finishing at the rim with authority, using her shoulder to create space, and making tough layups look easy. It's like night and day compared to her rookie season. And here's where things get even more interesting. Clark's new strength isn't just helping her score, it's improving her passing game too.
The annoying thing is, it's hard to find pictures on the court that will show this, but you can see her. This is her in July. How much bigger her arms have gotten. This is later on in the season. It's not like Caitlin Clark's not still skinny, but she very much bulked up. And she was in the gym, in the weight room constantly.
She's holding off defenders longer, creating passing lanes, and finding teammates with ease. She was already an elite playmaker. Now she has the physicality to back it. If you need proof of how much she's bulked up, just look at the footage. She's clearly bigger, stronger, and more durable. And here's something important to remember.
I think it's an inevitability that Caitlin Clark is the first player to ever average a double-double in the WNBA with points and assists. I think she's going to likely set the record for assists per game in a season at some stage in her career.
WNBA guards often take a little time to adjust to the league's physicality. Clark's transformation is happening faster than expected, and that's a scary thought for the rest of the league.
I think it's going to be a situation where maybe she's not the best player in the world straight away. Maybe she's not the best player in the world by game 10, but we can't forget last year that she just got better and better and better. If there's a scenario where, I don't think it's far-fetched to say Caitlin Clark could average 23 and 10 next year.
Some experts are even predicting that Clark's new physicality could lead to her averaging a double-double in points and assists. Think about that. A double-double in just her second season.
Because the goal is not for Caitlin Clark to be, realistically shouldn't be for her, to be the best player in the world tomorrow. The goal should be to be the greatest player of all time. And to be the greatest of all time, you don't have to be the best player in the world next year.
That's the kind of stat line you see from all-time greats. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. This isn't just about Clark's offense. Her new strength is also making her a better defender.
The goal should be to fully cement yourself in that conversation next year, and then by year 3, make it so that the only argument against her being the best player in the world is A'ja Wilson herself. And then by year 4 or 5, when Juju starts to come into the league, when Juju comes in, when Hidalgo come in, people are like, oh, these are the comparisons. I mean, no one's going to have those comparisons if at that stage Caitlin Clark is coming off an MVP season and a title and is the best player in the league.
She's fighting through screens, holding her ground against bigger players, and making it much harder for teams to target her on defense. Remember how teams used to see her as a defensive liability? That strategy won't work anymore. And let's talk about what this means for her overall game. With added strength, she's also going to draw more fouls. Last season, there were times when Clark was getting hit with no calls. But now, that contact will be more obvious, leading to more trips to the free throw line. And we all know Clark doesn't miss many from the stripe. Here's the bottom line. Caitlin Clark isn't just getting better. She's reshaping the entire WNBA landscape. Some players come into the league and take years to evolve, but Clark is fast-tracking her development at an insane rate. And let's be real, this is just the beginning. Clark is only in her second year, and she's already making these types of improvements. Can you imagine what she'll be like in 3 or 4 years? We could be looking at a historically great player, someone who goes down as one of the all-time best. So, what's the goal for Caitlin Clark? It's not about being the best player tomorrow. It's about becoming the greatest of all time. She doesn't have to dominate immediately, but she's setting herself up for a career that could define the WNBA for generations. And let's not forget, she's doing this while the Fever are building a potential championship team around her. Clark is on a mission, and the league better be ready. The upcoming season isn't just another year, it's the start of something special. Clark is projected to put up MVP-level numbers, and with her new strength, refined skills, and relentless work ethic, we're about to witness history in the making. So, grab your popcorn and get ready, because Caitlin Clark isn't just here to play, she's here to dominate.